What is happening, guys, and welcome back to another video for this bike build. I'm excited because the final and biggest piece to this whole build, this puzzle, has finally came in, and it is a prototype. So I am the first one that he has made this for, and I'm excited about putting it on the bike. Now, because it's a prototype, I got to do all the fitment because he didn't have a bike to fit it, test it on. So I'm a little bit nervous about that as well, but I haven't even opened the box. You guys are going to open it with me and see for the very first time the way this looks. So let me exactly tell you what we're doing today. We are changing out the swing arm again. Yes, again, because before I went to Sturgis, I swapped out my swing arm to an Allied Art all aluminum swing arm. And this thing has been amazing. It has real good. I wanted to do a full video on that swing arm, but because I'm changing it out, I won't. I can give you guys details about it and what I liked about it, but I didn't do a full install video on it. So I am swapping that out to what is in this box, and I'll get to that in a minute. So what I'm gonna do with the swing arm is not even sell it. I do have another bike to put the swing arm on. So this swing arm fits 08 baggers and back. It also fits FXR. So I'm going to be putting this on my dad's FXR. So that way it's not sitting around and going to waste, and make that bike look even more custom. I hate that it's going to come off the bike, but I'm getting into that why. The reason I'm swapping it out though is because I'm putting a 2009 up wheel on the rear of this bike to run a wider tire. That is the reason why I'm swapping out the swing arms, and it's a pretty custom swing arm. Now, let's get to unboxing so we can see how this new swing arm is gonna look. I'm also gonna weigh and see what the weight difference is in the old swing arm, the stock swing arm that I never weighed, and the new swing arm to show you guys the different weights in all of them. I guess I'll use the X-Acto knife to unbox this. Need to get something actually kind of fancy for how many boxes I've been opening. But I'm excited about opening this. It's getting down to the wire, guys. Down to the wire. Ooh, very, very nicely packed. Very nice. Ooh. Ooh. Oh. Let me tell you guys, this thing absolutely looks amazing. I'm ready to get this on the bike. The only thing I didn't have done is where I can raise the shocks up to a different height. I run my shocks in the standard position no matter what. I just like that height. I'm not a tall person, so I really didn't need that feature. And it is just a weld-on piece where you can raise your shocks up if you want more height and not have to go buy a taller shock. But again, I really didn't need that for running in the standard position. But where the swing arm really takes off and becomes different is because it's a 2009 and up swing arm without modifications. It will not fit on a 2008 and back. So the sides have to be cut down right here for it to fit on a 2008 and back. The other thing that's been done to the swing arm that makes it different is the relief pocket for the transmission. Now, that really won't affect me that much, but if you want to run 14 or taller shocks, that comes in handy so your transmission isn't hitting your swing arm. But again, I'm a short person. I'm not putting 14-inch shocks on my bagger. The tallest I'll run is 13. But this thing looks absolutely amazing. I've gone ahead and cleaned out the pockets for the bearing, so that way there's no debris. I like to double check that. But this thing just looks absolutely amazing. But the next thing to do is put the bearings in the swing arm, weigh it for you guys, and then get it on the bike as soon as I get the other one off. Now, I've had these bearings sitting in the freezer a little bit to make them a little bit smaller, make it easier to get in here. I'm going to put a little bit of red Loctite all over the outside of this bearing. I don't like using a press, so I'm going to use a driver to press these in. Well, more hammer it in, but just little tool like that and put it right in the middle, keeps it straight. That's a snug fit, and that's what you want. And then just hammer it down until it touches. Got ways to go. Almost out of the woodworks. I hate dealing with bearings because so much could go wrong. Let's see if I can get this thing. So the new swing arm is showing 20.2. Alright, now here's the stock one, and you can tell a noticeable difference in a 08 to a 2009 swing arm. That swing arm, just the back side of it, looks so much more beefier. But let's weigh this. Let's see. That's showing 16.4. So I almost gained 4 pounds with the new swing arm compared to a stock one that came off the 2008. Now that one has had some metal removed, cut, welded, so I might have lost a little bit of weight, but not by much. This one don't have any bearings, but bearings are very light. It probably add maybe an ounce or two, maybe. So that's almost 4 pounds I'm gaining between a stock 2008 and a stock 2009, well, I would say stock, but modified 2009 swing arm. So I'm interested to see what the aluminum weighs. The aluminum should weigh less than this one. So I'm probably gaining a good bit of weight compared to the aluminum. You definitely want to get one side started so that way the axle's not pushing on each other and kind of keeps it in place and makes it easier. So got the spacers on, now to get the rubber puck. Now I did replace again the bearings and the inner spacers. The pucks I'm not replacing, and that's probably not the exact name for this, but because I just replaced them not too long ago, they're in really, really good shape. So that is why I am not replacing the pucks and the outer spacers. There we go. There we go. Get that thing. There we go. There we go. Come on. The first thing I noticed is the rear fender being as close, and actually it's touching the swing arm to where I can't even go up any higher with the swing arm to get the shocks in the right position, because once I get the shocks in the right spot where I can put the bolts through, I got to cut spacers because the swing arm being wider. So I'm going to have to clearance the rear fender so that way I have no problems. Even if I can mount the shocks right now and put the rear wheel on, if I hit a bump with it like it is, it would probably actually crack my rear fender. Now, I do hate that I have to cut my new rear fender up, but it is what it is. Because the swing arm was not meant for this bike. It's a lot thicker than the stock and the aluminum one that I just took off. Now, the other thing is, with talking about the swing arm being wider, is my side covers. So I probably have to do some cutting on them for them to fit with the new swing arm. So we're about to see how much I have to cut off, and I'm hoping very little, if any, with the side covers. And I got them right over here. Had to go get them. They've been painted. I haven't finished them up yet because I knew there was a possibility that I was going to have to cut on them. I would rather put a little bit more paint and clear coat on them and then finishing them up than them look unfinished. Right there. I don't want to take off too much, just enough to literally clear. So now I got to do this exact same thing to the other, take a straight edge, and then I'm able to cut it. The biggest thing is I don't have to technically put some paint there and re-clear coat it. I could leave it like it is, but I want it to look a little bit more finished, and that's why I'm going to actually put some blue on that when I cut it and make it look a little bit better, like it's actually meant to be like that. I went ahead and cut one of the side covers because I wanted to show you one that's not cut and after it's cut. And I did a few other things to get everything prepped and show you guys. So let me show you the one that's not cut right now. So you can see it is hitting the swing arm right here. I can't push it all the way in and lock it. It's only locked at the top. So I have to cut this little bit of area off. So that way it looks uniform and the bottom will lock in place, because right then, see, it just kind of pulls out. I mean, it kind of pushes in, but not that great. So yeah, that'd be just flapping going down the wind. I mean, if you like that, you don't have to cut it and you could leave it like that. I don't like that. I really don't. I'd rather this be pushed in like it was made for it. So let me show you the other one. So this one is actually in place right here, but all that's got to be cut. And then even on the back side, I took a grinder to it because when I raised the swing arm up, it was hitting on the back and pushing it out a little bit. And I didn't want that to happen. But after cutting it with the Dremel, I took the grinder to it so I can make it a little bit more uniform. It actually kind of looks like it's made for the swing arm. Now, I'm debating at this point if I want to add some color down here and some more clear coat. I'm thinking not, because unless you're kind of up under it, you'll never see that and know it has no paint right there. So it didn't really affect it. And the other thing is, this week's actually pretty cold and not really great for putting clear coat on, and I don't want to run into any more issues. So the only time I could actually put clear coat on the pieces is next week, so then I only have maybe a few days and have to ride down to Daytona. Now, I could get the bike put back together and ride it without the side covers. I mean, it won't look great, but I could do that and have those ready before going to Daytona, because I'm definitely not going down there without the side covers, because it looks absolutely awful without the side covers on it, in my opinion. Just not doing that. So I don't think I want to paint them and add clear coat. I think I'm just going to cut them and leave them like they are, trying to make them look as good as possible where it looks uniform. So let me show you guys the other things that I've had to do for this swing arm. So the other thing is, I did tell you guys about the rear fender, and I went ahead and cut it. I probably cut it a little bit high, but it is what it is. It's modified. I don't have to worry about the swing arm hitting it anymore, but I do think I did go a little bit high. I should have gone lower. It is what it is, and you really won't notice it unless you look up under there. So I'm not mad about it, really. The other few things I had to do. When I went to put the shock bolts in on this side, it was not lining up. That was giving me a pain. I was like, what is going on here? And then I figured it out. So what I had to do is I did go ahead and replace this adjustable link. So I actually had to adjust this because the swing arm was not aligned properly. So I had to adjust it for the bolts to line up on both sides. So if you ever run into that issue, even if you're not changing out your swing arm and the bolts aren't lining up, that's probably your problem right there, and it needs to be adjusted. And the way you can do that is basically like it is right now, but you might want to go ahead and just take both shocks off completely, measure from your bottom bolt to your top bolt on both sides, and they should be equal. So that is how you're going to align your link. So if you don't have an adjustable link, I highly recommend getting one because it's so much better than a solid. That way, if you run into an issue like this, you can make adjustments. Now, I had to get that adjusted before I actually cut the side covers and make my spacers, so everything was lined up so I could get everything perfect, because there is not a manual for this, guys. There's no one I can call. I'm doing this all off of measurements and taking my time. So let me show you the spacers. So there's one of the spacers for the shocks, because without that spacer, that shock is going to be crooked, and you don't want that either. Now, I did not go with a thin washer. I mean, that thing is thick because I don't want it breaking on me. Not that it's really load bearing, the bolt is more taking the weight, but for my own peace of mind, I'd rather go with a thick wall spacer. It is a little bit more expensive, but I know it's not going to break like a thin one, and it just gives me more peace of mind. So that is exactly why I went with that. Now, I really wish I had a lathe, guys. That would have made this so much easier of cutting these spacers down to a precise length instead of having to put it into a vise and cut them and shave them down and get them to the right length. Before I finish up the other side cover, put the bolts back in the shocks, I'm going to show you guys the weight of that aluminum swing arm. I know it's lighter than the one I put on there, but it's definitely beefier than the stock swing arm. So is it more weight than the stock? Less weight? It should be less weight, but how much less weight is it than the one I put on there? I'm thinking a good bit of weight. Let me know down below what you think. So let's weigh this thing. So the aluminum swing arm weighs 14.2, guys. That's a pretty significant difference between the aluminum one and the steel one that I just put on the bike. So now you can see the difference in the weights between a stock 2008 and back swing arm, a 2009 swing arm, and this aluminum swing arm that I just took off the bike. Was going to weigh the least out of all three swing arms, but didn't know how much until now. So each one putting more weight on the rear end of the bike, but now you guys know what the difference is between what I just took off and what I just put on. Well, there you have it, guys. 2009 swing arm on a 2008 touring bike. It is possible, but it's not just a simple bolt-on. It's not like you can just go on eBay, get a used one, and bolt it right up. It has to be modified, and then you have to make some other modifications, as I've shown, to make this thing fit. But if you're interested in running a wider tire or wider wheel, go check out ReadyFabs. He does some amazing work. He actually has a video out there on how to align your swing arm and goes in good detail of how to do that. You need to do it because it's very, very important, because it can lead to handling issues if things are not aligned properly. So if you're interested in learning about alignment, go check out that video. I'll leave that link in the description below, as well as this website, so you can go check him out. He makes an amazing product for the adjustable stabilizer link. So he does amazing work, and I can't say enough how amazing that swing arm looks for the welds, the cuts. I mean, the back end of it that you actually see is in stock form, but the parts he cut and welded are pretty much hidden by the side covers. So it's kind of a shame on that, because it looks amazing with the welds, in my opinion. But all the spacers have been cut. I still say I need a lathe eventually, so that would have made that so much easier. But I wanted to talk about, though, the handling and alignment. Now, I still have to put the wheel on and align the wheel to the front tire. So that will be next thing I do once I get all that. And that's still unknown territory for me, because it's a 2009 wheel, but it is going on a 2009 swing arm. So I'm hoping the alignment is there and not so much of a pain in the butt and having to make some more custom parts to make that fit. And the only thing I would have to do, again, is probably spacers. But you'll have to find out when I do the wheel, which will be very, very soon. But if you don't have proper alignment, or you're afraid to check that, take it to a shop, because it can lead to handling issues. I can't really tell you enough on that. And that's something people really overlook. There's some things on a bike you definitely need to check every so often. But I'm happy that it's all done with the swing arm and it's all bolted up. But I hope you guys have a good one. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.